Good morning. Good morning. Today is going to be an interesting day because it seems that even the birds are gang stalking us. Um, I hope that everybody, I'm going to need the first brave person to let us know if you can hear us, if you can hear me. We are live from the Onion Creek Cafe in Houston for Targeted Justice monthly meeting, and we have loads of stuff to talk about. So I hope that you can you join us and continue to stay with us while this is going on. If anybody can please put a comment so that we see if they're coming in. Hi, Robert. Okay, thank you. Okay, so I'm going to start by just telling the little story that this morning I had everything ready for today, and as I opened the tripod to put on the camera, what happened? They had broken the base. But fortunately, and this is like something that you all, you know, when you live in this situation, you are always prepared for everything. So I always carry one of these around, which I urge you to do because yeah, we're going to talk about our website being down. But one of the practical advice that we give people when you have the problem that these criminals continue coming into your house, well, first of all, put locks inside of your windows, and then so what I did was beyond locks, I screwed my windows shut, and then you can put a hasp with a padlock. When you leave your house, you put an outside on the outside door. All your inside doors should have, the ones coming into your house from the back part or whatever, should have a hasp with a padlock. But when you leave your house, you put that same hasp that has to have a covered screws so that they can't undo it. And then you wrap your lock in masking tape, you write on it, and you take a picture of it. And that is one good way to prove to the cops that somebody came. Oh, yeah. Oh, God. Elix. Yeah, we're smiling. And we're going to talk about how the criminals have taken hostage our website because they don't want truth to come out. And it's only a pat in the back proving that our Digital Warriors campaign is working. And we're going to talk about that in a little while. But before that, I wanted to make an intro as to see when we are in this atrocious situation, and not every waking moment like I do, but I urge you to live trying to red pill people to make people aware. For example, I always carry in my bag, I always carry in my car a targeted justice flyers. This one is particularly important if the sheriff stopped you or the police. Well, you give them one of these because the big criminals don't tell the law enforcement people that they are running a fake torture program, like a torture experimentation program. They tell them that you are a terrorist. And this is what's happening to those J6ers that are getting stopped by the police, and they don't realize that their pardon by President Trump did not remove them from the criminal, hidden, secret categories of the terrorist screening database reserved for people that really do not have any ties to terrorism, as admitted by the Office of the Inspector General. So if you carry this, you give it to them, maybe the next time they're not going to stop you because the real criminals don't want the local police to know that this is all fake. Okay, so this is living to preach truth. And then I have another little one, which is very effective, and I just want to show you. See, these criminals last night. Okay, so I have this little card I made, which is I can just give it to people when I am paying at the cash register at Walmart, and I give it to them about how they can do the microwave pops test. And it's also very effective to make this I give away when the criminals are getting out of hand with their gang stalking. So, anyways, we're going to talk about. Richard just joined us here, and I have to be very careful with, as you can see, with the contraption here because they did a little number. I don't know where they broke it, but it's okay because it's working. Because I brought my tape. Good morning, everybody. Hi, Chris. I sent you a message this morning. Hi, Darren. So nice to see you here. So we're going to talk about obviously the hacking of our website. And I have reasonable grounds to believe, for those of you that have seen the post that I made, as a digital warrior, I replied to Candace Owens and I said, she posted something and I just replied, I said, when are you going to expose the USAP, an acknowledged special access program that tortures Americans or something like that? I wrote, you can look it up in my feed. And as soon as I put that post up, it went viral. It's up to 20 something views. And that's when the criminals hijacked and are holding hostage our webpage because they don't want the truth to come out. And for us, it's a pat in the back because they had never, Richard, had they ever done anything like what they have done right now?
Unfortunately, we have had our website hacked repeatedly. Never. We may have had it down before, and it's been several years, but that appeared to be a technical glitch. This is definitely not a technical glitch. What we see is the domain provider as well as Cloudflare, which provides us service to guarantee us access, what's called access integrity. They guarantee that any distributed denial of service, your DDoS attack, is blocked. And the way they do that is by storing the most popular pages on our website in servers all over the world. So if a distributed denial of service attack goes after our domain provider or after a specific IP address, they've got multiple backups of servers all over the world that can kick in and still provide that. So it's a very effective way, and I'm probably oversimplifying it, but just so you understand that there are the distributed denial of service is a sophisticated way of using bot computers all over the world, millions of them, to go after your website and try to log or view your website pages, and it overloads the one server where your main website is stored, and basically it blocks it so nobody can see it. Well, the workaround that Cloudflare came up with was servers distributed all over the world. They log or store backups of your most viewed pages. Sometimes they do the entire website. And that's what prevents the distributed denial service attacks from being successful.
Do you think that is what they're doing right now to our page?
I'm not sure. We can't identify whether the problem is with the domain provider or with Cloudflare. Cloudflare has a number of services that they provide that are very sophisticated, that block out and lock access to maintain access integrity. So it's not, Cloudflare doesn't actually store our main website, and that's not where we edit it. But Cloudflare provides services to make sure that access integrity is there. And clearly that's not happening right now. So we've contacted both Cloudflare and the domain provider, complained repeatedly over the last 3 days, and unfortunately we're not even getting a response back from them.
Can you log in to the page?
So we can't even log into the editor right now. So I know what the password is, and the password has clearly been changed, and it won't let me reset the password. So they've gone to great lengths to make sure our website stays down, and unfortunately that shows a sophisticated attack and not just a technical glitch. So that's why we're certain it's not a technical glitch. So we just want people to be aware. This is it doesn't mean anything. Targeted Justice is not backing down. You can go to archive says. There's dozen different providers of archive services, major archive services all over the world. The Wayback Machine is simply one of those, and so you can type in Wayback Machine on DuckDuckGo and pull up Targeted Justice, and you can see the last few months of the website as it was and as it was saved. Most of the pages are available, if not all of them, at some point in time during the last 12 months. So if you need to see the website and you're doing research, go to one of the archive servers. Wayback Machine is one possibility, but we've even had them recently take down our material on Wayback Machine. So our attorney Anna Toledo was successful in contacting the archive, the website archive, and they acknowledged that our material at the archive had been blocked. So again, this indicates a very sophisticated, planned, coordinated attack to keep Targeted Justice website down. And it seems to be specifically tied to our Digital Warrior campaign. So you're gonna hear us mention that a lot. We need digital warriors. If you are sitting at home on the couch wanting the TI program to end, get on the Digital Warrior campaign. This is one of the best, most effective ways that you can contribute and help shut down the program.
And this is a proof.
And yes, and the deep state is clearly saying this is a problem for them. So get on the Digital Warrior campaign. It's easy to do.
I'm gonna talk about it now.
It's I'm going to let Anna Toledo tell you more about it, but very important. Don't sit back. Here's your chance to help shut down the program. Very important. You can do it at home. You don't have to attend any meetings. This is a very powerful campaign, and we need your help.
Okay. So yeah, well, many of you have already joined our Warrior campaign. La versión moderna de... Okay, listen, I did a Spanish translation of the Digital Warriors. I'm going to be posting it everywhere, including here in Twitter. For the people in Latin America, we have Javier in Argentina. We have Valdemir in Brazil. We have Horacio in Chile. We have Maritza in Mexico. And we want everybody to share the content. Clearly, X is the only freedom of speech platform that is not censoring our content, even though I have to say that they may have some internal person manipulating the stuff, or maybe I have to change my password because they are erasing some of the tweets, some of the posts that I make. And I was able to corroborate this last night, that one that I replied to Modi, the Prime Minister of India. So it disappeared and then it showed up again. So when you make really good posts, screenshot them so that if the criminals are getting access, a backdoor to X, you can have evidence of this, because President Trump issued an executive order prohibiting censorship. And so social media platforms are forced to comply. And this morning, Targeted Justice made a post that I urge every single one of you watching to please repost it, because we need to let Pam Bondi and the Civil Rights Division at DOJ and Mr. Patel, they need to know that there is some illegal shenanigans going on, because Weebly and Cloudflare will not fail to meet their obligations under the contractual agreement for which they get paid for, unless some powerful insider is telling them, giving them instructions. So please repost that post that Targeted Justice made this morning, tagging all these officials. And if you can even find the handle for those persons that we couldn't find because we did the search, but of course our internet is very hacked. I want to talk about the Digital Warriors because it's really, really important for you to understand the reach of this and how successful we can be on it. In my Substack and in Targeted Justice Substack, you can see a link to the presentation that I recorded it, and it's in PDF, and it's recorded, so you can just watch the video on the presentation. When you prepare yourself well, the hashtags are no longer being favored by X, so that makes it easier for you to prepare. But you really need to choose your topics, prepare your posts, and have them ready for when, for example, somebody like New York Post does a publication about something about USAID. Well, you know what? It's really good news if NATO gets dismantled. At least I only care about targeted individuals. I only care for us to be free. If NATO is dismantled, guess what? So will the gang stalking programs in Europe, because it is through NATO that the CIA criminals fund the gang stalking. So we should all rejoice if NATO is dismembered. And that is because all I care about is stopping these crimes against humanity. All I care about is shutting down the weapons that tortures us. Okay. Hi. When I urge you, when you read the news, I urge you to put aside any political affiliations and look at the news from the perspective: is this good for me as a targeted individual? Is this going to help liberate not just you, but the over 6 million people around the world that are tormented and tortured? We have to stop being selfish about this. There's little girls in India. There's little girls in Malaysia and in Houston being tortured. Okay? So, one of the rules or one of the guidelines that you should adopt when engaging in our Digital Warriors campaign is: do not make it about yourself. Eliminate me, my, mine from your post. Make it about the community. That is more effective, and that triggers the interest of other people. We believe our page targetedjustice.com was has been put offline by these people collaborating with the deep state, because just like Alex Jones had shows about this. I'm gonna for those of you that are up to date with what's going on. Number one, James O'Keefe had a hidden camera on a CIA criminal saying that they give them a nudge, and that they totally circled in Alex Jones and said, and we succeeded because we took all his money away. Does that sound familiar? Isn't that what they do to targeted individuals? Well, he's clearly one, but he doesn't want to talk about this. I respect his position on that, although I wish he did cover this. But last week or the week before, he also showed documents how the FBI had for years classified InfoWars as a domestic terrorist organization, which I am absolutely certain that Targeted Justice, that is fighting for freedom from torture to eradicate this illegal program, I'm sure they have us in that category too. And they lied to the judges from whom they obtained the 278,000 FISA warrants, because they are telling that Richard Lai has, that all of us are domestic terrorists collaborating with the Russians and with God knows who. Okay? So do not think you are exempt from this. All of us that are being tortured are in this illegal list. And that is what you need. We need you to engage in our Digital Warriors campaign to red pill officials. Not only, for example, Radcliffe, yesterday, I sent him a post from one of our Japanese Digital Warriors. And I said, what are you going to do? Just shut down the Denver domestic operations of the CIA that carry out this torture around the world. So, don't just go for people here. Go for presidents and prime ministers and police commissioners in your countries or in foreign countries. I am doing it with the Prime Minister of India, because we know that there are a lot of tortured people there. And they are our brothers and sisters. And every time, and this, you can use this language, every time the United States Space Force or the CIA, because the CIA has access to these weapons, fire a weapon, it's an act of war. Every time they fire a weapon on a civilian, like Juan in Malaysia, like Helen in Australia,
And it's a violation of Geneva Convention.
it's a violation of the Geneva. I'm going to have you talk about that now, but it's an act of war. So you can tag these public officials. And you can let them know that the CIA criminals in the domestic operations under the Denver airport are carrying out acts of war that are compromising United States diplomatic relations. Can you please explain about the Geneva Convention and how it is a violation of that?
Sure. So here's some of the things we know. So the Geneva Conventions cover, many people don't truly understand. The Geneva Convention started decades ago, and in that they've outlined things to prevent violation of fundamental human rights, and those have been defined in a number of conventions. And so one of the examples that we like to bring up is the deliberate targeting of unarmed civilians. That's clearly happening with the Vercator microwave weapons that are space-based, that are mounted on the frames of satellites, including the Lockheed and Boeing GPS satellites that are used to track people. That's also a violation of the U.S. Constitution and federal law. Without a warrant, you can't go do that. The deliberate targeting and tracking of civilians for military purposes is a violation of the Geneva Conventions. The use of weapons of mass destruction. We covered this before with Targeted Justice in our newsletter and on our website. A weapon of mass destruction, there's a number of definitions, and it's key that you understand. That's part of the confusion that they like to put it into the play of the definition. So the FBI uses a definition. If you take a poisoned cactus needle and bring it onto a commercial airline flight, they call that a weapon of mass destruction. As crazy as it sounds, that's an FBI definition. So if you go around and start poking people with a poison needle that could have any type of toxic poison on it, and just bringing it on the flight is a huge violation of federal law. But the weapon of mass destruction that we're referring to is several things. The tracking of civilians by bouncing microwave weapon signals off the top of your head. It causes brain harm, right? It causes brain injury, and they can do that to hundreds of millions of people or billions of people every second. That's clearly mass, meaning multiple people, and it's destructive. So one of the things that we want to emphasize for the purposes of future lawsuits is that the U.S. Space Force knew that these were weapons of mass destruction. The U.S. government signed a treaty in 1967 called the Outer Space Treaty, and it clearly defines you cannot put weapons of mass destruction in outer space. Vercator weapons can be fired repeatedly at dozens, hundreds, even thousands of people in a very short period of time. That's clearly another definition for a weapon of mass destruction. So these are treaty violations, and this is the reason we believe that they've put all of these types of programs into unacknowledged special access programs. The common element seems to be if it's a violation of an international treaty, they put that under an unacknowledged special access program. So the MK Ultra program, that's why it's at around level 35 as an unacknowledged special access program. It involves treaty violations, the targeting of unarmed civilians. That's a violation of the Geneva Conventions. The violation of the 1967 Outer Space Treaty, using weapons of mass destruction, deliberately targeting civilians. Those are international treaty violations. So that's why the CIA has set this up and created a top secret system that's unavailable to members of the Senate and House intelligence committees. They're completely unaware. They're not briefed on this. So this is how crooked the CIA has become, is these programs are so classified, so top secret, that members of Congress and the president is not informed about it. So that's why we can step up and start informing the president. I noticed that PAX posted on their latest newsletter the White House phone number that you can call in and leave comments. This is another opportunity, in addition to our Digital Warrior campaign, where you can contact the website, be professional, be polite, try not to use I, me, mine to describe. There are hundreds of thousands of targeted individuals in the United States that are being tracked and targeted by law enforcement using the FBI's Terror Screening Center database. We need it to stop. That you can do a short message, emphasize the TI community. We're not downplaying the fact that many of you are horribly tortured, but we need to, for credibility, we need you to emphasize that you're speaking for an entire community, and that's very important. So let me give it back to Ms. Toledo.
Okay, so yeah, let's talk about the digital warriors. I hope Dustin, we need help with legislative representation. Okay, here's what I suggest, Dustin, and this is what I need the warriors to do. First of all, if you obviously you can do this on your own, but we are going to post we're trying to accumulate. We're going to post in our Substack the list of the people that have committed to being digital warriors. You send us some of your posts, and then we will publish your handles, X handles, and through social handles. We need to grow through social. Please move there too, in order for our community to follow you. We're going to help you get more followers in order to, and add you and be part of this army. So going back to Dustin's comment, we would like for people, for example, in Ohio, you have now Vivek Ramaswamy, he's going to run for governor. You have a legislature there. So take it upon yourselves, leaders in Ohio, leaders of this community in Ohio that I know that there's so criminal there. My heart goes out to you. And everywhere in the nation, but I know Ohio is just brutal. So what you do is you get the X handles of all these politicians, officials, get the police commissioner, because they are the ones that run the fusion centers, and then tag them and ask the other people to please repost, because the strength is in the numbers. When we publish your name and people sitting on their couch not doing anything to end the program, well, here is one way you can do something to end the program. It doesn't cost you anything, and it's no effort. It's just go retweet, repost. That's all we need. Our membership that do not want to engage in having to do work, all you need to do is press the repost. It takes no effort. Okay, so that's on the state level. We need that really strongly in Ohio. In Oregon, remember, Oregon, you have a fusion center lawsuit. If anybody has an update on that lawsuit, please let me know what is going on with that, because Oregon had a really good ongoing lawsuit against the civil rights abuses of the Oregon Fusion Center. Please let us know. Then Oregon also has FICRA versus FBI. Remember the court case that has been returned twice to the District Court of Oregon? Well, that is still going on there. So, and I think that the reason is because the targeting in Oregon is atrocious. We have our sister Simone there, and it's just really, really bad, just as in Washington State, where we have our dear Dr. Anna Mihalcha. So we know that those two states, because in my opinion, and they're so woke, their governing bodies are so woke that's why it is so prone to selling out to this deep state program. Because make no mistake, this is a deep state program that banked on their influence. For example, USAID, it's being revealed. And for anybody that is against what is being revealed by Doge, well, you're going against being free. And let me explain why. Doge is exposing a lot of scams by people in the government that were not only stealing money from taxpayers, but also funneling money to organizations that were pushing certain agendas. And I am absolutely certain that the USAID was a funneling of the CIA in diverse countries to run the gang stalking program. Because remember, the directed energy weapons are fired from Shrevers, but
they use the facilities in different areas of the world. They use not only cell towers, but military facilities of the countries that they have made deals with, that they have entered into agreements with. So, Alvin, like since Tulsi Gabbard exposed her targeting, has stopped completely with me. Good for you, but it has increased for most of us since the DoD directive. And this is another person that we really need you to be, our digital warriors need to be sending messages to, and it's Secretary Hexeth. He needs to shut down the illegal targeting. Just, look at my post. It is a crime to fire electromagnetic weapons at GPS coordinates within the United States. That is a crime. And Secretary Hexeth needs to know that General Saltzman, who is a traitor to this nation and who will be judged as such, has to stop ordering his minions at the Space Force to fire electromagnetic weapons at children as young as 3. So we are, please, I have to remind you, repost Targeted Justice post this morning, asking Pam Bondi, asking Kash Patel to investigate the criminality of holding hostage. Oh, the perps are going wild. The criminality of holding hostage our webpage, okay? The Targeted Justice webpage. This level of hacking has not happened ever since it has been online. We have had short interruptions, but nothing like this. Okay, going back, for those of you that don't know, President Trump on January 20th signed an executive order prohibiting censorship. And he specifically prohibited government agencies and employees to interfere with the First Amendment rights of any person or organization. And that's exactly what they're doing with the hacking of our website. I do not think that Weebly or Cloudflare would on their own fail to meet their responsibilities of protecting our website. I think this is there are rogue government gangsters behind it. And we need Mr. Patel, Ms. Bondi, Mr. Leo Terrell, and everybody at the Department of Justice and the Civil Rights Division to investigate what is going on. So we really urge you to do that. Oh my God, my co-host is here. So good to see you, Joey. We're talking. So going back to the digital warriors, open your X account if you can afford the getting certified. We really urge you to do so because verified. Because number one, it doesn't limit your characters. It doesn't limit your characters. It allows you to upload videos. It allows you to go live, and it gives you a series of benefits that it's really worth it. And I think it's right now at $84 for persons. For organizations, it's more expensive, and for us, it was more expensive to get verified for Targeted Justice. But and that's why. And this is a parenthesis, people ask, the fundraising, we need to do fundraising, particularly in light of all the defamation that members of this community are carrying out, because this costs money, having Cloudflare, having a webpage that last year they duplicated their annual fee on us, just like that. And so we have no choice. And all the perks and all the work we do, it is expensive, and we need to continue the fight. We're not going to stop. The criminals think that they can take our money here or there, they can break our equipment, they can hack our page, but we're not going to stop. So do not for a second think that we're not going to stop, and we are not going to stop until the very last targeted individual is set free. Not just those in America that are covered by the United States Constitution, even though right now those protections have been completely ignored by the system. So do not think that there's no help in Illinois. Okay, Illinois, You have some deep state congressmen there that I had to write to. You have to start tagging. You need to embarrass them, and you need to start tagging them in your posts on on X and Truth Social. Here's what's happening. Thank you, Fat Battle for Your Brain. I'm fighting for everybody, and I'm coming back to you, Rudy. And I want everybody to know. Anytime somebody says, "Why don't you call me? Why don't you?" I wrote to you. No, I am fighting for everybody, not for one person. So don't bother saying, "No, no, no, you have to take my case." No, I am fighting for everybody. It is not fair to give I have 24 hours just like you, and I dedicated 7 days a week to fighting this fight for everybody. So please understand, it's not about you, it's about everybody suffering. This look how silly these criminals were. Look at my microwave burn last night. For those of you that say I'm a fake tea, I have one there and one here. Two. I woke up with 2 microwave burns this morning. So anyways, going back to Rudy, and everybody out there, I need you to get the X handles off your senators and your representatives. And you need to tag them when you repost targeted justice content or my content. That's all it takes. You tag them and you say, what are you doing to end the illegal, unacknowledged special access program that tortures people in the United States and abroad? It's very simple. You can have it all copied there and just tag them, because they have to start paying attention. Another person that I need you to start tagging and interacting with is, did you hear about Representative Mays? Hey guys, hey women out there. Representative Mays caught 4 perpetrators that were incapacitating her and raping her and doing sexual aggressions on her and filming her and uploading it through an app. And she went to the Attorney General of her state, and he not only dismissed her, but threatened to file charges against her. This reminds me of Qatar. A woman in Qatar, when she denounces a rape, she gets prosecuted for denouncing a rape because they protect the rapist there. And that is what the Representative Mays Attorney General did. And I know for a fact that a lot of us targeted women get raped while asleep or incapacitated. And I made a post about this, and you should be all sleeping. If this is happening to you, if you have not secured your windows and doors, you need to do that first. And second of all, sleep with a very tight Lycra pants or clothes, like exercise clothes that for the criminals to take them off, it's going to wake you up. Okay. So just check out my post in anatoledo.substack.com about Representative Mays. Tag her and tell her, because she's in handling code 4. She doesn't realize she's targeted. Another advice I want to give to our digital warrior army is the following. Let's leave behind the term targeted individuals, and let's start referring to ourselves as law-abiding citizens illegally placed on the terrorist screening database. The reason for this is that a lot of people have been mind controlled, because it's nothing but mind controlled, to believe that targeted individuals are crazy and delusional, because that is the part of the subliminal messaging that the criminals at the CIA have been doing to the entire population. So let's change it on them, and let's start saying law-abiding citizens illegally placed on 2 secret categories of the terrorist screening database, because that is the truth. Okay, I'm gonna say hello here. Joey, can you say hello to our people here? This is the live stream. It's everywhere in X and everywhere.
Okay, hi everybody. My name is Joseph Calderera. I go by Joey, and I'm a targeted individual as well. And Anna and I have been working on a lot of different legal issues, She's been doing a lot of the federal stuff. I'm here in Texas, so I've been doing a lot of the state stuff, suing some of the police departments and suing some of the prosecutors' offices, and getting a lot of results. And it's never actually, in my situation, that haven't prevailed. But what you do is you get these people caught in their own lies. They're clearly part of it, right? And everything you file, they file a response that exposes how they're truly thinking, how they're misapplying the law to justify violating the law, right? They do this. This is the most arbitrary and egregious thing. And, just from my experience, I just want to say this, and I'll hand it back to Anna. But, we've been looking at this legal community as well as the police community to determine whether or not that they're part of it, from a, truly a verifiable and articulable, perspective. And, of course, there's no doubt, right? It's beyond dispute that they're clearly involved in this persecution of us. And so, and I think it's relevant to understand that, in recent times, there have been a number of patterns and practices of various police departments. And one of the patterns and practices, at least in my area here in Houston, has been that the police are keeping secret lists, and they are looking at people to be able to arrest them without probable cause. And then they are looking to essentially entrapment. And it is total terrorism, it's police terror, under the ACLU category of police terror. It most certainly is. And, so what we're looking at really are domestic militants who are essentially have no conscience, have no morals, are in the state of overthrow. They have complete resistance to authority. They use the law to break the law. They break the law in the name of the law, which is a cardinal sin. You cannot use the law as a weapon to justify a particular violation of the law. This is the pattern of corruption that is happening. And, and I've been able to, do that at some other form. I'll share specifically what, some of the things I found. I'm even involved in civil litigation because my mother was badly, deliberately injured by her doctors, and just the way that the civil litigation is going, the lawyers that handle the civil litigation for the rogue doctors are all in on it, and so anyways, that's where I've been. And so I'm here with Targeted Justice today to, not only provide updates with my litigation matters. These things are going to take years, right? But I will just say this: I have the First Court of Appeals on my side, and I have a trial court judge here on my side. So this is just a matter of sifting through the blatant lies and deception. I've never seen anything like this in my whole life. In the past 10 years, I've never seen litigation like this. It's total crap. These lawyers have come out of nowhere. They lie, they cheat, they steal, they rig, they're anti-competitive. They're part of it. If you thought it was a conspiracy, there's absolutely no doubt. Our United States Attorney's Office, it's quite scary. They're quite the litigation terrorists, right? Because what they do is they do either nothing at all, right, and turn a blind eye, which is actual knowledge, or else they file, frivolous suits of the most petty and vindictive nature, that when people like ourselves are having legitimate and real life issues of compounded abuse, right, and we are suffering a campaign of terror directed at us for whatever reason, perhaps we symbolize some kind of authority against which they resist, right? Many of us are former employees for the government. Like myself, I was Texas Education Agency. I was a teacher prior to going to law school. So I knew that, they hate authority, right? Clearly, that's clearly what they resist, is authority of all kinds. And that's the environment that we're in. And I think it's really helpful to know and to understand that that this environment is going to keep you down as long as they can, just because it's a game to them, right? It's totally, it's all about oppression, right? Creating a second-class citizenry, right? And I know from my own personal experience, my mom and dad told me to never treat anybody as if they were a second-class citizen, but these people do. And that's a problem. That's a problem. You don't treat people like that, nor do you make it such that people are like that. And that's what they're doing to us. And that's awful. So let me hand this back to, before this falls down, to Anna.
Well, this is what they did. Look, do you see the tape there this morning? They broke, I'm not kidding you. They broke the base to it. But since we are prepared, we're always used to thinking, like Lighthouse has taught me, let's have a backup plan, because something will always go wrong, because the criminals are going to make it go wrong. It's going to be so wonderful when our life goes by normally without having all this sabotage, without having the little base of the tripod broken. But look what because I carry around the masking tape to log for the lock. Anyway, so the criminals, this time it didn't work. Once again, like Wile E. Coyote, the Acme dynamite exploded in your face, you stupid criminals.
Yeah. That's what
that's what it is. That's how it was in my case all the time.
Yeah.
It was Wile E. Coyote. Think of every time that you beat them at their game, just bring a smile to your face and think of Wile E. Coyote.
Yeah.
And every time he tried to take the Roadrunner, and we're all Roadrunners here because we are miracles. We are, each and every one of you that is a targeted individual. You are a walking miracle. And every day, every time you open your eyes every morning, you have to thank God for it, because God has put you here for a purpose, to change the course of history, which was going to go in a terrible, terrible direction. The entire humanity was going to be mind controlled by these criminals operating from under the Denver airport. And that's another guy that you need to tag all the time. John Radcliffe, you need to tag him. He needs to shut down, particularly the doctors, tag the medical boards, the psychiatrists and the psychologists that are criminals, concocting the manual torture for targeted individuals. They work for the CIA psychological operations. And those criminals need to spend the rest of their lives in prison, okay? So you can tag Radcliffe and tell them, get rid of those psychiatrists and those psychologists and prosecute them. Refer them to the United States Department of Justice Civil Rights Division for their human rights violation, not just in the United States, but around the world, okay? Again, I want to show, this is for all of you that are getting silent hits, stopped by the police. Do not argue. Listen to me, please. If you can make, those of you that are so good in TikTok and Instagram and all of this, I have some advice for all of you, not just targeted individuals. If a cop, a sheriff, anybody from law enforcement stops you, you're going to be polite. You are going to give your car permit or the insurance card or your license that is requested from you. And then you're not going to engage in conversation, because I have news for you. If you are a targeted individual, the cops are not there seeking information to make your day happy. They are instructed by the computer in their cars that you are a suspected terrorist, and they are instructed to fish around for facts or information that they can use to arrest and entrap you. So what you do is you carry a flyer, carry one of our flyers, okay? And you let them know that this domestic terrorist designation, it's a fraud and it's part of an illegal program by the CIA, okay? The other one that I want you to carry around, if there you have homeless people in your area, is the Hearing Voices one, okay? Give them some change. Give them one of these flyers. Let them know that the voices that they're hearing, and also vets, they're not going crazy. It is our experience at Targeted Justice that a lot of people that are in prison and a lot of homeless people are being experimented upon. And we have to be compassionate, and we have the look on their face when you tell them, are you hearing? And he's like, well, not me, but my friend. And I said, well, you're not crazy. They're not crazy. These voices are not, you're not schizophrenic. And their face is like, really? You know, so please, let's spread the word. And I'm breaking up. Yeah, when I'm breaking, thanks for letting me know. When I'm breaking up is that the criminals, if this, the criminals, they can't stand the truth. So thanks for letting me know. Because they're going to sabotage everything they can. They will sabotage my battery. They will sabotage everything. I mean, we're used to that, right? And we prepare for that. And that's why the number one thing I am telling everybody is you have to make sure your windows and your doors are secure when you're in the house and when you leave the house, because these criminals come in and they poison your food. They put they put stuff in your food and your water that it's tasteless and odorless. So you need it to secure, and they break your things, and we all know that they break your stuff and they poison your animals. So you need to make a little review of your house and make sure that everything is being taken care of. Now, going back to what Joey said, the Department of Justice attorneys lied in TJ v. Garland. They lied, and I listed the lies to the court, and I said, these people are lying to you, Your Honor. And for example, one of the blatant lies, it's in black and white, is that targeted justice, my client, had made up the term non-investigative subject. When you do a Google search of non-investigative subject, I don't know, it's like over 10,000 replies come back. And that is a term that was concocted by the FBI to name the people that should not be on the terrorist screening database and yet are there. You and me. So Miss Maddie McMahon, the attorney for the DOJ, wrote in a paper under Rule 11 that you're not supposed to lie to a court under federal Rule 11, and she said that targeted justice made up that term. Yeah. And that is in black and white. And just like you said about your documents, Joey, this is a record for history. 500 years from now, people will come back and read it, and we'll see who were the truth tellers, who were fighting the deep state criminals. And that is targeted justice and those 18 courageous plaintiffs that put their lives on the line to fight these criminals. It is happening. Judy, excuse me, is Judy Twin Towers genius? What's her name? Dr. Judy Wood. Dr. Judy. Okay, so pretty soon, watch for this is going to happen. People are already talking how Building 7 in the World Trade Center, no plane crashed it, yet it was imploded and came down. Dr. Judy Wood, who I believe is a targeted individual, filed 2 lawsuits in the Southern District of New York that now we know, that's where they were hiding, the Southern District of New York with Comey's, of course, she's more recent, Comey's assistant U.S. attorney, but that were hiding the Epstein files from Pam Bondi. Well, guess what? The Southern District of New York called Dr. Wood delusional and dismissed her lawsuits regarding the false narrative of the Twin Towers and 9/11 and Building 7 that nobody likes to mention, that no plane hit it, but yet it fell down. Guess what? Time will prove Dr. Wood was right. And it is my belief that all that shenanigan with 9/11 was to justify not just the Patriot Act to spy on us, but also the terrorist screening database to create this human experimentation program. And it's all going to come out. And for those of you, when our website is up again, you can look in the Wayback Machine. You can read, I urge you to read the lawsuit, and with information from that lawsuit, you can do a lot of digital warrior posts, okay? You can take information from there. We had Ted Gunderson's affidavit given in the La Bella case in 2011 describing this program. That's why 6 months later, he was murdered. He was murdered just like Dr. Duncan. Yeah, Dr. Duncan was murdered by the criminals with radiation. And he was murdered on the day that he confirmed to Dr. Len Bear that he was going to Targeted Action 2024. Did you know that? Yeah. He had been exposed to radiation, not the microwave stuff they throw at us, but they're like radiation, the one you can measure with a Geiger counter, because he had measured it. And then on the day he confirmed to Dr. Bear he was coming to Targeted Action to speak, that night the criminals murdered him. So I also wanted, okay, so in your Digital Warriors campaign, one very effective method I have, the important thing is for the criminals not to expect where you're going to go. So let's say you're following New York Post, and you have you have to have them in your notifications in your browser, so that as soon as they post, you have to have your post ready and put it there, because you want to be top 10 posts. If you are the number 2,000 post, nobody's going to read it except your followers. What you want is to step outside of the targeted community, okay? We need you to step outside of the comfort zone. We need you to stop preaching to the choir, which is us, and go out and venture out to the normies and let them know how there is a black project that is attacking and obliterating the lives of law-abiding Americans and children and torturing pets. That's another one, PETA. Tag PETA with the attacks to your pets. Let's embarrass them, because you know what? They take a lot of money from the government and from grants, supposedly fighting animal abuse, yet they do not care about our targeted pets. They have never made a single post denouncing the microwaving, the poisoning, the illegal chip implanting of our pets. Never. So it is time for you, for the sake of your beloved pet, start tagging, take that route and start tagging them until somebody pays attention. Okay? The same with the Children's Health Defense. Very respectfully, let them know children's brains are being microwaved with voice to skull. We have evidence of that young children are being beamed voices at their heads. Dr. Len Bear explained, and you can listen in our Rumble channel at Real Targeted Justice. We have, when you visit our channel, please go into the channel section. So you see we have Spanish, we have Portuguese, Brazil, and we have interviews. And there we have also spaces, thanks to Ortain, that has created and maintains such a beautiful page. And in the spaces, we have Dr. Len Bear talking about the brain structures of children, okay? And how, and you can take some of his quotes and put them, with a little child covering his ears picture that we have a Targeted Justice, and tag Children's Health Defense, because I cannot believe that they would not be worried about developing brains in children being attacked by microwave weapons and sponsored by the criminals at the Denver CIA domestic operations. I just cannot conceive. Maybe they don't think it's real, but when we document it with Dr. Bear's statements or quotes, that's a moment where, and then that's the RFK too. We need warriors to start tagging RFK on, this is very easy. The self-assembling nanotechnology in dental anesthetics. Dr. Mihalcha has written about it. Dr. Bear has written about it. Grab their pictures of those self-assembling chips, put them in a post, tag RFK, tag, the people under him. Go for the FDA, tag them and say, what are you doing to make sure that people are not being non-consensually, secretly implanted? Pick your topic and go for it. And for example, state legislators, you have a state legislator, You can take the Dr. Mihalcha or Dr. Lambert or Dr. Nixon's articles, take a part of it, take a picture of it, because posts with pictures get more views, and say to your legislator or to your secretary of health in your state, why don't you prohibit dental anesthetics with self-assembling nanotechnology? Here is the evidence. The University of Colorado confirmed it. Look up the article from the University of Colorado that Dr. Mihalcha, look up Dr. Mihalcha's Substack and post it to them. This is how we shut down these criminals from various, you see, from various aspects. So, you know, if there is anything you can do, this doesn't cost you anything, and it's an educational journey. You know, it's an educational journey for many of you to learn that the proof, the undeniable proof, for example, of self-assembling nanotechnology. And one of the enlightening things that I heard Dr. Baer explain is that the reason why probably general anesthetics also have a self-assembling nanotechnology, but the reason why all of the lidocaine and all of the dental anesthetics sold in the United States, tested by Dr. Baer, all of them contain self-assembling nanotechnology, is because of its proximity to the brain. Okay, so that's why he thinks it won't be diluted, and the proximity to the brain. Okay, yes. Well, American Jazz Lady, if Dr. Brian Ardis has good content that favors the shutting down of this program, I urge you, make short. I want to give a shout out to there's, I think it's VIA Brazil or something. She makes really good posts, and Ortain and Helen, our ambassador in Australia. We're going to ask you to follow her. She is really good in her little red pills, and you know, all it takes is for you to follow us and repost. Even if we forget to put repost, please repost, and then in your repost, tag your legislator, your secretary of health, local, state, your senator in Congress. Tag them and say, what are you doing about this? You know, everyday Americans are suffering and you are ignoring us. What are you doing about this? Okay, I'm going to check through some of the questions here. Yeah. Cradle of Life, that is really great. The post, the flyers in different languages. Also, when you make a post, it is my experience. You know what I do? I go to Google Translate. And I check it twice because, you know, Google is deep state. So I check it twice to make sure that the translation, they didn't jack with it. And then I make the translation and I put it, for example, for the Japanese people, that I have to give a shout out to the activist digital warriors in Japan. And I wish I could speak your language, because you are courageous, and you have to also be tagging your prime minister and your officials, your public officials, telling them, demand that the United States stop perpetrating acts of war on us. You need to do that. It's not your neighbor, Japanese digital warriors. Your neighbors can be hacking you. Your neighbors can be murdering your pet, and they can be coming into your house and poisoning your food. But the directed energy weapons are controlled from Colorado Springs, USA, to the world. They use the facilities in your area to torture you. So you all need to tag your prime ministers and your state legislators and your Congress people abroad, for those of you that can, and say, demand that the United States stop these crimes against humanity. Tag Tulsi Gabbard, make her job easier. As many of you know, on January 20th, President Trump signed an order against the weaponization of the government. In that order, he specifically gave the Director of National Intelligence, that Ms. Gabbard has been confirmed to, 45 days. Go look it up in whitehouse.gov. 45 days to investigate the malfeasance carried out by the intelligence communities. Make Ms. Gabbard's job easier. Make your posts and tag DNI Director Tulsi Gabbard here on X, that has become the public arena for a discourse of the things that matter. Okay, so tag her, help her do her job. As I mentioned last week in a live stream I made in Facebook, write to her no later than this week. Write to her a 2-page letter. If you go in my Substack, anatoledo.substack.com, there's the address and there is a sample letter, and then you can add your own experience. Don't make it a 10-page letter. Make it a 2-page letter with including 2 or 3 of the most atrocious things that could only have been caused by these criminals. And then at the end put, if you need any evidence or more information of the atrocities they have perpetrated upon me, you can reach me at this number and this email. Okay? And also make sure that the NSA is told to stop spying on law-abiding Americans as myself and stop interfering with our communications. That's another arena that we need to tackle in the Digital Warriors campaign. You need to tag Rapid Response 47. You need to tag Tulsi Gabbard. You need to tag the Civil Rights Division in the Department of Justice. We are law-abiding Americans, and those 287,000 FISA warrants that Mr. Patel referred to need to be investigated, because some FBI agents have admitted to other FBI agents that they lied to the courts in order to obtain those FISA warrants against you and against me repeatedly, because they expire and then they renewed them with fake information. That is why those of you in the United States, I urge you to not accept phone calls from outside of the United States, because that is one of the ways that the criminals justify getting a FISA warrant against you. That's why I cannot take calls from outside of the United States, because it's one of the ways that the criminals at the Terrorist Screening Center lie to the FISA court to renew. And they still have stingrays. They still do everything. You know, it's all going to come out in the open. And we're going to be there eating popcorn and watching it all happen. Okay, let me see if there is any. Thank you. And thank you for the prayers. You have no idea. We're all walking miracles, and your prayers go a huge long way, even more than these criminals' weapons. So please continue being not just digital warriors, but also prayer warriors, because that is what the criminals hate the most. When you put on your Christian music or your, prayer music, and when you go into prayer mode, it is easier to deflect their attacks. Okay. So let me see if anybody has a question. I'm seeing only from Facebook and YouTube. So it tells me that maybe Rumble is not letting the comments go through, and I'm not seeing any comments from X either. So I am sorry. Oh, here, Darren, after your first, Gene Hackman. I think that there's something that's going to come out in the next few weeks, that there was some foul play there. For the people that want to volunteer and do research, any of you out there that want to do this little research, it would be really great, because we need to expose the following. All those mass shootings have been set up by the criminals. And we know this because most of them were hearing voices. So for those of you that want to do some meaningful research, you can go back and you look at the exponential growth on mass shootings since 2004. Because remember, that's when the first terrorist screening database went into effect. So you're going to look at the correlation after 2004, the expansion of the terrorist screening database vis-a-vis the mass shootings and the people that were saying they were hearing voices, like Robert Card in Maine. Those 18 victims of Robert Card have to sue the criminals at the CIA because it was not Robert Card pulling that trigger. It was a mind control man that for the past 6 months had been tortured, hearing his buddies calling him a pedophile. And that is the kind of people that we need to start creating awareness. Also, create awareness among the J6ers. You are listed on the terrorist screening database. Your pardon did not erase you from this list. And whenever a law enforcement interacts with you, they don't know you're a pardoned J6er. They think you're a domestic terrorist. And they will harass you, and they will stalk you, and they will try to entrap you into a crime because they want to put you in jail. And you need to make sure you don't fall into that trap. You have to be as most law-abiding as ever. You have to be respectful with law enforcement. Give them your license. Give them your car permit, whatever it is. But do not engage in conversation. Unless you say to them, do you have a warrant to talk to me? No? Okay. Protected Psalm 91. Yeah, American Jazz Lady. Let me tell you a story about Psalm 91. When I didn't know I was targeted, I was about, who would imagine that the United States government was funding the 3 flat tires I would get every year, the damages to my equipment, the everything. Who would think that, right? Never. But one day I was coming out of the court, the San Juan Superior Court, and one of the marshals, I remember him. What a beautiful man. He chased me to the parking lot. And he said to me, please pray. Please read Psalm 91 all the time. Don't stop reading it. And I looked at Psalm 91 and I'm like, yeah, it's pretty, but I don't know why he said that to me. And it turns out that everybody there knew that I was targeted. It was, in the grapevine, everybody but me. That is why another woman that was, those, we call them in Spanish, jurado de pasillo, which is hallway jurors that are the people that are paralegals. They're always in the court and they know everything about the court. So this woman approached me and said, you have never, and I'm sorry if I repeat myself, but I have to tell this story because she, American Jazz Lady, mentioned Psalm 91, and we all have to read it every day, okay? Every one of us. And that lady came to me and said, they have tried to disbar you so many times, but they haven't been able to because you're too much of an honest woman. And the fact that that is not a member of the court system, she's just a civilian, knew about it and came and she risked her life by telling me that, because I was told. I asked a friend of mine, why didn't anybody tell me? And he said, because they were afraid of being murdered. And they hurt him after that. They hurt him really badly with directed energy weapons in the shoulder. But for him, I appreciate it very much. And justice is coming for all of us. Okay. Hi, Monique. Okay. Thank you, Monique. And I want to ask the Lighthouse about, he's talking to one person that here that came to the meeting. And okay. There was something that you wanted to talk about. Hold on. Let me, here, hold this while I manually move this so it doesn't fall apart. Criminals, you didn't win this round. There you go. Can you see yourself there?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, they thought they won. They didn't.
So I wanted to mention a couple of things. First of all, Houston, the whole month of March goes through what's called the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo. So we're passively participating. It's the biggest rodeo event in the world every March. And we've got lots of visitors from out of town in Houston the whole month. And if you're involved in agricultural farming, raising livestock, it's a huge event. But anyway, so
Current events that we want.
Current events, yeah, we're promoting Houston. So newsworthy issues. So A lot of you have been following news. We like to recommend Gateway Pundit. It's thegatewaypundit.com. It's one of our best sources of news. They update the news 24 hours a day, mostly during the week, but it is updated 24 hours a day. Another good website we found with credible news is Zero Hedge. You can look both of those up. One America Network is a good source. Unfortunately, they want you to pay a subscription fee, so we're kind of shy about using them, but it's still a good source of news. I believe former Congressman Matt Gaetz has a show on One America Network News. So if you're a fan of Matt Gaetz, that's enough to consider using it. So a lot of the news that we've been getting over the last few weeks is very encouraging, and we want TIs to recognize this is a huge opportunity for us to get the foot in the door and expose the program, permanently shut it down. The deep state is running scared. I'm particularly encouraged by the politicians that are very opposed to Doge and the exposure of the corrupt and illegal spending of billions of dollars over the last decade or more. What we believe may happen is likely to happen is these politicians that voted for and funded the Ukraine war actually received kickbacks. You're not going to see the president accuse them of that at this point, but many of these Democrat and some Republican as well. I don't want to pick on the Democrats solely. There's a Republican base as well. It's not as extensive as the Democrat base, but have clearly received kickbacks. We believe the source of those kickbacks are the money that was sent time and time again to Ukraine with very little oversight. It appears that possibly as much as 50% of the money that was allocated by Congress and signed by President Biden and President Obama was actually money sent to Ukraine and is being funneled back to these politicians and corporations. Yeah, it's basically what Zelensky said, that he only got 50% of the money. So that's a strong signal that some of the rest of the money is going somewhere. We think there's going to be a paper trail, and these politicians are going to go to prison. So that's why they're so aggressively opposed to Trump and the exposure of this corruption. So we're going to continue to watch that. I'm going to keep harping on this. If you're not a digital warrior, you need to get on board. This is the best way to expose and shut down the TI program. If you've never had a Twitter account or a True Social account, it's very easy to sign up. It's free. It doesn't get cheaper than that. It's free. You can do it from home. You don't got to travel to any meetings. If you're having trouble with your internet connection, go to a public library. Every major city has lots of public libraries. Here in Houston, I think we've got more than 30 libraries in the greater Houston area. You can go there. Yes, the computers will be slightly hacked, but you can still get into your email. You can still get into Twitter or X, True Social, and your regular email account. You can get news at the Gateway Pundit. All those are freely available at your public library. If you're not doing that because you feel like your internet is completely hacked, here's your potential solution. So we encourage you to do that. We also see in the news, many politicians have already predicted this. Probably NATO and the European Union is going to collapse as part of the deep state collapse. It's those entities are completely intertwined, and what happens to one generally happens to the other. So we consider that to be an encouraging development. There's going to be people that have different opinions on that. It's just my personal opinion. Please can't overstate that. Become a digital warrior. The program is not going to shut itself down. You have got to get involved. If you don't want the program to continue, get involved. It's not going to shut itself down. Become a digital warrior. Attorney Anna Toledo has done an outstanding job of organizing this effort. It's critical to shutting down the program. Get involved. I was just mentioning the microwave popcorn. One of the ways that many people can determine whether or not they're a targeted individual is doing the popcorn test. And what that involves is cupping your ear in a very quiet room, generally at night when there's very little noises. And if you've got to hold it for a while, you can't just go, well, I didn't hear it. Hold it for 30 to 60 seconds and listen carefully, and cup both of your ears. And And within 30 to 60 seconds, you'll start hearing the popcorn. It sounds like pop, 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 pop. That's a signal, that's a tracking signal that comes from a cell tower. And we've described, if you'll read the diagrams on our homepage at Targeted Justice, and it's also in the newsletters, we've got these diagrams posted there so you can understand how this technology works. But it's one of the best leading indicators that you are a targeted individual. If they're tracking the location of your head 24 hours a day, you're a targeted individual. This is also the method they use for delivering voice to skull and subliminal messaging is from cell towers. And we've described how that system tracks and uses GPS coordinates from the GPS satellites in orbit that are designed and built by Lockheed and Boeing. So we encourage you to look that up. If you understand how the technology works, you would be amazed at how much your anxiety goes down, because once you understand how it works, you can also understand the limitations of the technology. The technology cannot do many of the things that you think your neighbors are. Your neighbors do not own or operate microwave weapons. I know that's a point of contention for a lot of TIs, but the equipment.
They don't have let's put it this way. They don't have a security clearance, right?
To operate a microwave weapon, it's very expensive equipment. We've got newsletters that show the stacks of these electronic equipment that the U.S. Space Forces use, and I guarantee your neighbors don't own or operate all that equipment. It's millions of dollars of equipment. The hardware weighs thousands of pounds, and your neighbors don't have it, and they also don't have a top secret clearance. The only place to get that training to operate those weapons is at Schriever Base, okay? Peterson and Schriever, Peterson is the headquarters, Schriever is where they conduct the operations. That's why we keep hounding on it. That's why we had our August rally protesting at Schriever and Peterson, because that's where these weapons are controlled from.
And that's why they murdered Dr. Duncan that night.
Yeah, Dr. Duncan, a week before he was murdered, he agreed to attend and be a keynote speaker at our August rally. So it's very unfortunate, but we want it stored in the record that we believe that was tied to his murder. So anyway, so that's just a few points that I wanted to touch on. Please keep harping on this. If you're not a digital warrior, it's time to join. It's free. You can sign up for a Twitter account. It's free. Truth Social. Get on Truth Social. Connect with other TIs. It's a win-win for you. If you've got questions about your targeting or gang stalking or the voice to skull, there's hundreds of people online at Twitter and Truth Social that can help you answer your questions and understand what's going on. So get online and get involved, okay?
Yeah, and even if you don't want to go through the trouble of writing really meaningful posts, well, you can repost our content. You know, just that little thing helps a lot. So please do that. Also, for example, Tommy Robinson, last week, many of you know that 3 a.m. is when these criminals go crazy. That's a witching hour for everybody. Well, I reposted a post by Tommy Robinson. For those of you that don't know, he's a British he's a British patriot. He's fighting against the unrestricted immigration that has destroyed the UK, and he's currently in jail. And he says that at 3 a.m. is when they give him bad dreams and he starts sweating and whatever. And he's clearly a targeted individual, and those are clearly acts of war perpetrated by the criminals at the CIA and the Space Force. And so I made a post saying he's clearly targeted because 3 a.m. is a witching hour. So it's these little things that you just need to be paying attention to, what the people that you follow on X or Truth Social, whatever, are saying, and then get in there and be top 10 comments. And please, for those of you that came in late, repost Targeted Justice post this morning regarding the Targeted Justice webpage it's being held hostage. It's being held hostage. We don't know who is the most responsible, but we do know that Targeted Justice pays Cloudflare to prevent this kind of attack. So they're not meeting their end of the deal, and that we pay Weebly also to protect. They're supposed to protect have security measures in place to protect the web page. So one very telling thing is that when we try to go into, not me, but people, the targeted justice staff wants to get into the editor of the page, the password doesn't work. So that tells us Weebly might be involved, and this needs to stop because the President Trump issued an executive order prohibiting federal agencies, the criminals, the government gangsters in federal agencies colluding with private organizations that manage social media, such as our webpage. So we need you to please repost that, because we need to capture the attention of the Attorney General and her staff and Mr. Patel, because he needs to go in there to the terrorist screening center and weed out the criminals that have illegally listed people like you and me on the terrorist screening database, even though we are law-abiding, exemplary citizens of this society that have been deprived of our constitutional rights and are treated like second-class citizens. He needs to know. I know that he's overwhelmed trying to, weed out the criminals from the FBI that he inherited, but we need to help him understand that over 300,000 Americans are illegally placed on handling codes 3 and 4, even though the Inspector General of the Department of Justice concluded that the people in handling codes 3 and 4 have no known ties to terrorism. And despite that, they are on the terrorist screening database. And the reason for that is because that is the list that is distributed to over 18,000 law enforcement to do the silent hits on you and to try to entrap you into crimes. And that is why over 50% of the correspondence we get at Targeted Justice is from targeted individuals that have been, many of them, unfairly jailed. And while they are in prison, they are subjected to all these atrocious attacks, and they don't have so much as a little water bag to protect themselves. We need to have compassion for them too. We need to fight for everybody, for the children, for the women that are being raped, not just physically while incapacitated, like Representative Nancy Mace denounced, even though she doesn't realize she's a targeted individual, but also the women that are raped with electromagnetic weapons. These are sexual aggressions perpetrated by government gangsters at the CIA and at the Space Force. And Mr. Radcliffe needs to stop these crimes. And I hope Mr. Patel investigates these rapists and these criminals and prosecutes them and throws the key away after they are put in prison. So please try to make, also another thing you can do, please go to our Real Targeted Justice Rumble channel. And in the interview section, you can take clips from the interviews we have made, not just Richard explaining the technology, but there's clips of me explaining the legal aspect of this, the illegal aspect of this. Make clips of that. Put them out on our TikTok account, the criminals shut it down. We're trying to get it back, but it was closed by the criminals. So we have to get it back. I guess once the TikTok issue is figured out and solved, we will do that. If you have Instagram, also follow these people. We're not, we don't have a huge social media department. It's pretty much homemade. So that is why we are counting so much on the digital warriors. So if you have TikTok and you have Instagram, please go out there and do not make it a torture diary. I can understand if some people want to use social media as a torture diary, but remember one thing, digital warriors. We have many things operating against us. Number one, subliminal messaging, telling the normies, oh, those people are crazy. So we have to fight back. And how do we fight back? Talking about tried and true, proven things like Havana syndrome, Marco Rubio just came out in a video saying, I know there is some truth to it. We're going to get to the bottom of it. Okay? The National Academies of Science and Engineering and Medicine concluded that the most likely cause of Havana syndrome are pulsed microwave energy. So that is truth and facts that you can use. There is also the content in when our webpage comes up, but you can look up in Substack, Dr. Lambert's content. He has tons of important content there regarding Havana syndrome and regarding V2K. V2K is a patent technology. You can go in my Substack and look at how it even was in the Army's webpage, and they took it down because they were going to use it on soldiers, but when they realized it caused brain damage, then they decided, no, let's use it to torture people on the two illegal categories, human experimentation roster, handling codes 3 and 4, administered by the Terrorist Screening Center. Who are the real terrorists in America? Because like Ted Gunderson said, most, if not all, terrorism is perpetrated by the FBI and by the CIA. It's not law-abiding Americans like us. Okay. No, I can't hear anything. Does Trump know about this? Well, I believe that this is what I believe, that many of the executive orders that President Trump has made are geared at shutting down this program. And let me explain why. For example, the one about the censorship, it all began with the Twitter files. For those of you that know about the Twitter files, how Matt Taibbi discovered that the FBI criminals were monitoring and censoring accounts in Twitter of people that were not influencers. People like me that I only had like 1,800 followers. These criminals were worried about people that have very little following compared to people that have, 100,000, a million. Well, they were worried about these targeted individuals, and they were deleting their content and censoring their posts. One of the beefs I have, it's that Matt Taibbi never published the list of people that he corroborated were being monitored and censored by the FBI criminals. So when the executive order by President Trump says that conduct is prohibited, federal agencies, all of them, are prohibited from forcing social media platforms to monitor and to restrain content. And that is why now Facebook is saying, oh, we're not going to do any fact checking, of course, because they want to be on Trump's good side, because they are like the waves of the sea. They go wherever the money is, that's where they go, So I don't trust Facebook, and that's why I barely go in there. But so that is number one, the censorship. And number two, that's the weaponization executive order. If you go read it, I urge every person watching this, you should go read it and look at the language. He ordered Miss Bondi. He ordered Miss Tulsi Gabbard, the Attorney General and the Director of National Intelligence, to investigate how the federal agencies have been used against the citizens of this nation, because it is the Constitution that protects us. And he specifically ordered Tulsi Gabbard, the Director of National Intelligence, within 45 days to issue a report on the abuses by the intelligence community. For those of you that have not read Mr. Patel's book, Government Gangsters, I urge you, go read it, because he clearly delineated the need for a new church committee. So I am confident that many of these, another one is 2 weeks ago, he issued an executive order saying to all the agency heads, identify wasteful spending and give a report and tell the public. And so here, this is our digital warriors. Please concentrate on Christine Owen. Tag him on your post and say to her, pursuant to President Trump's executive order, you have to identify wasteful spending. I urge you to look at the organized stalking and the funding of the illegal operations at the fusion centers. That's one way you can go. If the gang stalking is your issue, go and tag her in your posts. Public officials are not supposed to in any, and please be respectful. Don't go into the surreal. Don't go into, things that are hard to believe. I'm not saying they're not true, because a lot of horrible things that I have witnessed and I have known other people to have witnessed, I know they're real. But if we are trying to convince the world that this is happening, you cannot go into those rabbit holes. You need to stick to the factual stuff that we have corroborated. For example, the United States Department of Justice Inspector General concluding in an audit report that 97% of the people on the terrorist screening database have no known ties to terrorism. And that is one of the many graphs that we have. You can look them up in the targetedjustice.substack.com. So I'm going to leave you now, and I hope I don't have any more questions. Please write to us at Targeted Justice here on X to tell us that you are that you're being a digital warrior, so that we can give you a shout out and have other people from our community, from our membership, follow you. We want you to have a following so that you can spread the word about this atrocious program. Contactar Sudamérica. Yeah, Rodrigo, we have Javier, we have Valdemir, we have Horacio, and I'm going to be making a podcast soon to explain the digital warriors in Spanish, because Latin America has been victimized by the criminals at the CIA. They are used to putting dictators, and they are used to telling Latin Americans how to rule their countries. Well, the time has come to shut these criminals down. And we are going to be exposing their torture. And the people in Latin America, and they just give me one little second, para los latinoamericanos, no los van a matar. Yo sé que el Voice to Skull está diciendo que los van a matar. Estos son unos cobardes que no se mueven sus cuerpos frente a su computadora. These people are cowards. They do not move from their monitors. So they're not going to come kill you, because, this is one of the things. If they come kill you, they're going to trigger a police investigation. And they don't want that. And I am proof positive that they're not going to kill me. If they would have killed somebody, they would have killed Richard or me, right? Because we are fighting against these criminals. And they haven't killed us, because the moment they do, game over. I have already said, Richard, I have written it, and I urge you all to do this. You can have a handwritten will pursuant to check the state's your state laws, saying, if something were to happen to me, I give this person permission to be in my autopsy and to recover all the implants in my body, and I bequeath my cause of action, my damages cause of action against those responsible for having placed those implants inside of me. I bequeath it to the person to do it with a video cam and a chain of custody. Do it. I did it. So, I'm better alive than dead, because if I'm dead, they're going to be able to harvest all the implants inside, and they don't want to do that. So I urge you all to do the same. Do a little handwritten pursuant to the laws. I'm not giving legal advice, because I don't know the laws of your state. You need to check the laws of your state. I did it for myself, and you should all do it, because it's one way that that it's harder for the criminals to do something to you if you make a plan. Okay, there's a special place for heaven. Yes, absolutely. Look, we have been chosen by God to fight this fight, and that's why also please do not miss Melissa Miller's Chosen Heroes tomorrow. She's doing an amazing job, not just as a podcaster, but also as a digital warrior. So please do not miss her show tomorrow at 3 p.m. Central Standard Time. The Chosen Heroes. We are chosen heroes. We are changing the course of history. And for the next 20 years, guess what? Just as the Holocaust has been the theme of dozens, if not hundreds, of movies and documentaries, the same is going to hold true for this treasured community. So keep on journaling and keep on compromise by their advanced tech. Well, I think, look, all I care about is shutting down this program and being free again and being able to walk down the street without being chased by a stupid gang stalker. Okay. And I think you do the same. And I want to be able to eat in a restaurant without thinking I'm being poisoned. And I want to be able to sleep at night without getting microwave burns, and having bad dreams. And you all do. And joining our Digital Warrior campaign is one safe and great way to further this cause and to red pill these officials that I know have the goodness in their heart to make things right. They want to shut down the deep state. And make no mistake, this program was the crown jewel of the deep state. And you are the hero that is helping shut it down. Do you know how powerful you are? That you are helping shut down the deep state. This is really great. So anyways, I'm going to leave you with that positive message. Thank you all for being here. And make a list. You don't have to tag everybody, but make a list of those people in your state and your federal representative and senator, and tag them. Just repost our post and tag them and say, very simple, what are you going to do about this? Because the moment they feel the pressure from their constituents, maybe they will start doing something. And remember, since the deep state is falling apart, they will no longer be able to exert their blackmail on these politicians, because I am absolutely certain many of them either were bought out or were blackmailed and compromised. So this is why it's really good, the frontal attack that President Trump is doing on the deep state and its operatives, because they will lose the power to control those government organizations that are supposed to treat us as citizens, yet we are second-class citizens before their eyes. So get on this campaign and help us shut down this program. Blessings to all. Thank you, and don't miss Melissa tomorrow. Thank you.